Very good morning to one and all who's attending this session at this point of time. Hi. So let's get started. So this is the JavaScript, the complete guide tutorial, and you don't have to have any prior knowledge in order to attend this. So starting off with, why should I study JavaScript? Other than the reason that I'm making this video and you're going through it, other than that, the main important thing is that JavaScript is like one of the three main pillars, okay, of front end web development. So when you talk about front end web development, the main thing that crosses your mind is HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript, right? Yes. So HTML is the basic skeleton that a web page should have, right? So it has the images, the text, everything, but it's not so appealing to look at. And then comes the CSS. So CSS adds its colorfulness and things to the web page, so which makes it really more awesome to look at. And you're like, wow, that's such a cool website, guys. It has animations, it has arrangement. It's like, wow, it's so cool. But so why does JavaScript, what's the role of JavaScript here? It's because JavaScript makes a particular web page highly responsive. So by responsive, what do you mean by the term responsive? You go to a website, you click on some button, and on click of that button, right, something happens. For instance, if you are in a login page, you enter your username and the password, and then you click a login button, then you are redirected to some other page, or you get a pop-up stating your particular credentials are not right, right? So this is what is called responsiveness. That's just a small example, but I'm telling you, you give some input to the web page and the web page reacts to it, right? So that is responsiveness. Fine. So JavaScript versus Java. There was a point of time in my life where I think I was doing my schooling then. I thought JavaScript and Java meant the same thing, but no, it's not. Okay. Java, you need to, one basic difference is that for Java, you have to compile it before you run it. While JavaScript, there's no need for compilation. You can directly run that code. Okay. So it's also known to add the speed and efficiency to the web development. So guys, it's really important to know that JavaScript and Java, it is different. It's not the same. Okay, so get it in your head. So this course, right, I have designed it in such a way that it is going to have PPTs. We'll go through the slides, but then as we go through the slide, we'll have some demo sessions apparently. So this is a very basic thing. I don't know why that's lingering, but just don't go through that. Let us more prefer than why we'll come to it. We'll start with constants, okay? So after everything that I teach, we'll go to a quick demo session in VS Code. So the setup part, right, for the VS Code and installing Node.js, I have a separate video on that and it's given in the description. You can actually look towards it. So constants, the name itself suggests that its value is not going to change. It's going to remain a constant, right? So there are two things that a constant must follow. First of all, you have to declare it during assignment, and secondly, you can't change its value, right? You have to declare it during assignment, can't change its value. So if you didn't get what these two statements actually mean, that's totally fine. We'll look at it. Declare it during assignment and can't change its value. Okay. Oh, shit. My bad. Now we go to VS Code, right? So one way to go to VS Code is that initially, right, go ahead, create a new folder. Okay. JavaScript, tutorials, I call it. You can give any name, your choice. I get into it, I'm like, CMD, go to the command prompt. CMD is the command which helps you open the command prompt with that particular location, okay? And then you give in code dot, it opens your Visual Studio Code. Wow. So now VS Code is open. So without any further ado, let's create a project. JS. Okay. So we are talking about const. So const k, let me give it a number 10. And I'm like console.log of k. Okay. So what is this going to print? This should print 10, right? Let's just check it out. So in order to run a JavaScript code, you are using this Node.js. So Why did we install Node.js? Why did we install VS Code? So this Node.js, right? In order to run any JavaScript code, you should have a platform, and we are using Node.js. Okay, that gives you a runtime environment so that you can run any JavaScript code. Fine. I hope if it makes a bit of a sense to you right now, it's enough. Cool. So Node demo one. Yeah, like yes, it prints 10. So what did we see? Suppose I give const k only. It is throwing an error. What is it telling? Const declarations must be initialized. Okay, so when I tell something is const k, right? This is declaration. By initialization, it means you assign it a value, no? That is initialization. So here, the declared variable k is assigned a value of 10. Understanding? So now, that was the first statement that we went through. If I give k is equal to 12, okay? So should it work? It won't work. Why? Because it is a constant and you can't change the value of a constant at any point after it is declared and initialized. After this point, after line number 1, you can never actually reinitialize a constant again. So this is all about constants and getting back, right? Yes, we went through this from current slide. So let us move prefer then why. Now coming to let and why. You have to know that let is more preferred than var, and we will go through another example to know it. Okay, before going to let and var, always know that the code executes from the top to the bottom. It's not until unless there's a function called statement in between, the code always executes from the top to the bottom, right? So we have let and var. Let's go with demo2, demo2.js. So now let's suppose I'm like console.log. Guys, we forgot the hello world. Hello world. Console.log is something like a print statement. Okay, it is like S out if you are well versed in Java, or it's like, C out. Um, it's just a print statement. Just know that much. Okay. So yeah, we have got hello world. No, that's not. Don't get distracted, right? So if I'm going to be like let k be equal to 11. Okay. So what should it print right now? It gives us an error. Interesting. Why? Because, code executes from top to bottom, and I am trying to use this variable k, but it's only declared, initialized later on in the code. So, which means it won't work, right? How about this then? This should work, right? It works. So the code executes from top to bottom, and on trying to use that particular variable, things are not going to work fine. Cool, makes sense. So now, how about this? Let's do something interesting, guys. Right? Okay. In order to comment a particular code, right, all the comments won't run. So in order to comment a particular code, you're supposed to use control and the backslash thing in your keyboard, and that should work. So now let's do the same thing. Console.log of k. But instead, earlier we used let. So now let me go with var k is equal to 11. What say? Is it going to work? Not work. You see, it didn't throw an error, but rather it told that this particular variable k is not yet defined. Okay? So this is one of the major key differences between let and var. So var, any variable that is declared using var can actually be called even before it has been, declared and initialized. That is the key difference. So why are we telling that let is more preferred than var is that var is easily prone to errors. So even in this case, no, this is just 2-line code and I'm fine with it. What if you have a 100-line code and then at line number 1 you have console.log k, and at line 100 you have variable k is equal to 11 in declaration. But then at this point of time it keeps telling you that it is undefined and undefined, and you keep wondering because you don't know why you actually declared it, right? You don't want it. So let is more good way to use things. And right now, if you had noticed, no, if you are already into any programming language, you would have went through int, float, long, string, char, a lot more, guys, right? Double. Did I miss out something? You have a lot more, right? So in JavaScript, that is nothing. You just have let, var, const. It's done. So anything, everything is declared just like this. You tell it's let, you give it a value. You tell it's var, you give it a value. You tell it's a const, you give it a value. There is no, these kind of differentials available in JavaScript, which makes things really easy to learn, right? Interesting, isn't it? So now moving further, you have something called as type of, and it's a built-in function that is used to find the type of a particular variable. Now, if I go ahead, tell type of what? Let's tell k console.log of type of k. So what should it give me? K is holding a value of 11. So ultimately, it should print the number, right? So let's just see. See, you get this number. And one sec, guys, console.log of this value k here. Right now it is undefined, okay? Right now it's printing undefined. But after declaration, it should print a value of 11. But if you're going to use let, it gives you an error right here. It doesn't work at all. Okay, so this is a major difference between let and var. You see, type of is a number and undefined 11. You get it? Yes. Then what next? We have functions. Functions. So when you are going to talk about functions, right? Functions, it is basically a block of code that is designed to perform a particular task. So as we saw, right, the data types, you don't have any particular data types in general, like in char, float and all. It's just that you have, what say, let, var, const, and that's it. Okay. So similarly for functions, so far, if you, in college or school, you would have studied C++, I assume so, C or C++, or Python at the very least. So this function, okay, I have some things present in the slide. Let's go through one by one. So a function is a block of code that is designed to perform a particular task. Fine. And it executes when something invokes it. All right. If it doesn't make sense, we'll get through it. So this is just a theory part. Just know a function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. And it's executed when something invokes it. As simple as that. So the interesting point to note here is that generally, okay, a function is going to follow a pattern like this. That is, it's going to have, oh my God, what just happened? It's going to have a return type. You see here, it's going to have a return type. It's going to have a return type. This can be any int, float, long, anything. Okay. And then you give the function name and then you have a particular parameter list and then the body. But in JavaScript, there's no return type because we just saw there's no data type only. What do you want me to give here? Let, var, const? No, right? So you just particularly tell, guys, this is a function. So you just give the keyword function here. And then you give the function name, the parameter list, the body. It's the same as before, right? So the PostScript is default parameters, arrow functions. Fine, cool. No. Okay. Stop. Yes. So where are we? Oh, this still is that. What do I do? Yes. So demo 3. We have the functions, right? So function. And let's give the function name called fun. It's going to have no parameters. So you have 3 cases. You can have one with a parameter, one without parameter. So let's start with one without parameter, right? So right now we have console.log, and let me tell inside the function fun. Okay. Now, what did we actually study, guys? We saw that it's a block of code designed to perform a particular task, and the task here is that it's going to print inside the function fun, and then it's executed when something invokes it. So unless nobody is going to call it, it doesn't invoke, right? It has a lot of manners. Okay. So I'm trying to call it. Only if I call it, it's going to come. Else it's not going to come. Okay. So this is how you call a particular function. Just the function name, and if there's no parameter, right now we don't have any parameters, so just give it. There's no arguments that's needed. So node demo 3. Right now, you see the output inside the function fun. So now let's make things interesting. Let's give it some parameters, right? So n, I can give as many parameters as I want. Okay. If you note here, you're not giving any data type value because guys, get it into your mind. There is no data type. You just have let, var, const. There's no int, float, double, anything. Because initially, in any other programming language, right, it's going to be like void, fun, and then you be like int a, comma, int b, comma, float, c, and all of these. Okay, what just happened? Why is it blur? No, no, no. B. Okay, and then you be like C out the value of A plus B, something like that. Okay, but in JavaScript, nothing of this is required. You just tell it's a function. This is a keyword, and then you give it a name. I give it a name of one, and then you give the variables, I mean the parameters, and you need not give anything like a data type here. You can just tell how many other parameters you want. Okay, and these parameters can hold any value. That's more interesting. Okay, so right now console.log, if you want to print the value of m, this is one case of doing it. Value of m is, okay, you give it as a string, you append it with plus sign, and then you give m. This is one way. The other way is going to be console.log. Above the tab or below the escape in your keyboard, you would see something like this. Okay. Below the escape, or you can also tell above the tab option in your keyboard, you can find a backtick. So go do the backtick and you be like value of n is, right now go give the dollar symbol, these two parentheses, and you give the value of n. So these are the two different ways to print, let me have just mn. Fine. So these are the two different ways in which you can print the value of m and n. I'm just telling you, showing you the different options you can use. Okay. I be like m, let me give it a value of this much. And then, interesting, see, I can give it any value, guys. Okay, let's have O also. I can give the value, oh, 0, it's not 0, it's O. Okay. And let me have O as an array with values 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let's go check the output. Node demo 3. You see it? You guys see it? It's so interesting, right? So it's so simple. JavaScript is so simple. But the point here is, guys, it looks so simple. And when I was browsing through the documentation or going to the videos, it actually was simple for me as well. But then unless you, even if it's a small exercise, just do it, okay? And try to implement it by yourself. That's how you learn. Even if it's a smaller thing or really difficult, whatever it is, try implementing it so that you get to know things better. You learn from the errors, you learn from your mistakes. That's how it works. And it's a hard truth about programming. Okay, PS default parameters arrow function. So I missed it. Default parameters. So right now M and O, right? I'm giving parameters here. So what if I miss this parameter 1, 2, 3? what is going to happen? Let's just see. You get a value of undefined. Okay. Suppose that I cut off Swatika too. So I can assume that you're going to get two undefined values. Sad. I don't want that. But rather, in certain situations, I can be like, I want certain default values to be present already. So I can tell, let n hold the value Swatika no matter somebody gives anything or not. And this is also going to get a value of fun zone. Okay. So whether I enter the value or not, I get this as default. So this is default parameters. So what happens if I start giving values? If I'm going to be like, suppose I give an array now. It doesn't matter because you're not giving any instances that this particular second parameter should hold this particular data type. You never told that. So right now I'm telling the default value Swatika, but then I can also give it in the call that it can hold an array, right? So let's just see how things are going to work. You see this? It's no longer Swatika, but rather it holds the array. JavaScript is so flexible, guys. So it should not be a problem at all. If you run into any errors, if you're going to do any complex programming, there's always Stack Overflow. You also have a lot of people to help you out. So it's going to be easy. And one more thing was arrow functions, right? So right now, what did we see? Function fun, all these things is happening. One interesting thing is that these functions can be assigned to a variable, which I've never seen in any other language so far. Okay. So I can be like, let target, okay, is equal to function fun. So, and then I call this fun. Do you think it's going to work? Let's just check it out, guys. Okay. So you guys get it? I'm trying to assign a function inside a variable. Let target is equal to function. That's so mind-blowing. I'm like, no, demo 3. See, fun is not defined. But rather now, instead of fun, I give this target this name. Okay. I tell target. So because the target gets assigned with a function, so I'm just checking if this is going to work. Does this work? It does. It does. Okay. Next. Now, so this fun, the name fun, makes no particular sense to me because you can't call fun fun something, right? It's going to throw error for me. You can try running it. See, fun is not defined because you have given this particular declaration inside this particular variable called target. So you can only call this function here onwards with the name target. So now, even if I cut off this name, it makes true sense. Okay. I can be like no demo 3. It works. That's nice. So about arrow functions. Okay. I want to seem like a really cool programmer. Arrow functions are a key to that. Just kidding. But arrow functions, right? It is a different way to write the same function. So instead of giving this keyword name function with a parameter list, what you do is you go with a parameter list, you give equal to this greater than symbol, you cut off this function. It is same as declaring a function, but it's just a different way that I'm declaring it. Okay, so instead of the function keyword with the parameter list, I give the parameter list first, and then I give double equal to greater than symbol, and then you give the body. It works the same way. Fine. No demo 3. Yeah. So you see, it works the same way. So just to make sure that I didn't miss out anything, once again. Mhm. Okay. Let's see another example using, what is this? Arrow functions. I know I typically forget what I was doing. Let target 2 be equal to, no, that's quite a big of name. Let t be equal to, okay? This is what is an arrow function. Uh, there can be an arrow function with no name as well, right? I'm telling you 1, 2, 3. So when I'm going to be like console.log of t, what do you think it's supposed to print? This is similar to what? I'm telling you function fun, and I have no parameters, and I'm like return 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is what this arrow function typically means, right? So console.log of t. Let's see what it's going to print. See, it just prints function. It tells it's function t. So I'm calling this function t. So now let me see what is going to happen. I get the value. You see, 123 is a value that it returns. But now, funny story. What do you think is going to happen now? Let's just check. You see, it throws undefined because when you're going to be like, when you add two curly braces, right? You should make sure that you give the return statement. Without two curly braces, just 123 will work fine. But with curly braces, you will have to tell return 1, 2, 3. So now things should work. You see? So without curly braces, just give the value alone. But with the curly braces, it must always have a return statement, right? Okay, easy things. So now let's go ahead. We are in slide number 4. Default parameters done, arrow functions done. So now coming to REST parameters, right? Okay, some things are floating. I didn't do a proper animation. We'll make sure I do a good animation the next time. Okay, is that an animation? Transition? No, animation. Yes. REST parameters. REST parameters. REST. What does the name actually suggest? I'm taking good rest, guys. Or, come finish off the rest of the thing that you have on your plate. Rest. The rest of the syllabus that you haven't done so far. So rest is, um, you guys get it right. Complete the rest of the thing, or complete the rest of the work. Rest. The last part, something like that. So these are used to build arrays, and you know what a parameter is. That is something that is given in the function, right? Function fun, and you have the parameters. Rest parameters. Interesting. So here, the syntax is going to be this way. Function fun. Okay.